chat away.
Okay. Good
Hi.
morning.
Hello, Coach Shaw. Do you want us to call you Kiana, Coach Shaw? What do you prefer?
Coach Kiana, Coach K, Kiana Shaw. It doesn't
Coach
matter.
K, I love it. Okay, whatever. So we are so excited. We have Coach K here, and I found her on a group on Facebook called Mothers Raising Teen Daughters. And so we get the wonderful opportunity to just hear about your amazing story and kind of get a feel for what you want to share with us. So tell us how you got started.
Oh, goodness. So just in general, I got started just in heartbreak, finding out that someone I had been dating for 4 years was dating someone else for 2 of those years, right? And right, I get the same reaction all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
And it may, shock a lot of people to know that, through that situation, he and I are still good friends, and she and I are extremely close, just because of our associations and things like that. So it was actually a blessing in disguise for both of us, for all three of us, but definitely for she and I. But that time and space, I was broken, right? And I mean, my heart was just in a billion pieces. And I went to a mentor and was like, I don't know what to do with myself. And he was like, well, where's your goal list? Like, let's start there. And so I'm showing him my goal list because I knew he was going to ask for it. So I kind of had it ready. And he was like, well, what have you done on it? And I was like, nothing. And I realized in that moment, I had spent so much time being involved. And, I was the friend that when they got a man, like you didn't hear from him, that was who I was, right? So I had been so involved in him and his life and his family. And I really did lose myself. And so I started working on my goal list. That was my assignment from my mentor, work on your goal list and keep a journal. And in like 3 weeks' time, I had completed like 80% of my goal list. Everything except for the weight loss part, right?
Yes, I feel that.
I realized like I could have been done this, but I hadn't been focused on me. And I started this journey, using my journal. He was like, this is a whole program, curriculum, right? And so it's fine. It's fine. I used the journal. He said it's a curriculum. And so I started implementing, and I wanted to just help other women not become the woman I had become. And I realized that I had a pattern of this behavior. And so I switched because I was like, I can trace this back all the way to like my very first serious relationship at 13. And I was like, I want to be able to help young girls not become that woman, right? And so I started my journey on, coaching with my nonprofit foundation. And it was just about teaching girls life, leadership, and empowerment. And I would do it in high schools locally, probation homes locally. And it kind of expanded because as I would help the young ladies, I would find myself communicating with their aunts, their moms, their grandmas, whoever the woman was in their life. And I realized that those women needed me just as much. They needed me just as much. They needed the same, empowerment. They needed the same life skills in most cases. And so what I decided was that I would start helping women. And I still help the teen girls, but Mothers Raising Teen Daughters came because I realized moms just needed a place. They needed a place to share. They needed a place to get advice. They needed a place to vent. And I could not be all things at all times. So I wrote a book to help with the process of raising, the teen daughters, and giving them those basic life skills. It's called I Choose to Be a Lady. And that helped, but it helped the girls. It really didn't help the moms. And so that's where Mothers Raising Teen Daughters came from. It was just opening up an avenue for moms to be able to go, okay, I'm having a really crappy day. Oh my goodness. Like, I think I did everything right, but my kid is still horrible. It was just where they could be honest and get the support and the tools that they needed. And so that's where the group came from.
Amazing. So I'm curious, what is the common theme that you see for teenagers versus what is the common theme or topic that comes up for mothers? Is it the same thing or is it different on both sides, each side?
It's so hard to pinpoint. Like moms are just like, how do I raise, productive citizens who positively contribute to society, right? Um, in some cases, they're doing a great job and just need a couple of, tools. In other cases, they're not doing so great. And for the daughters, they're looking for a place to belong. They're looking for acceptance. They're looking for independence, and there's this power struggle a lot of times. We start off with dependence and needing our parents to feed us and needing them to clothe us and needing them to provide for us. And at some point, there is a level of independence that we're taught. Like, I tell my daughter, my 7-year-old all the time, you have to self-manage this. This is where you do your part, right? Um, but there's a level of interdependence that is often missed. And that's where we come together. We see interdependence in marriages, we see them in business partnerships. And for whatever reason, they escape the mother daughter relationship and the understanding that we need one another, right? Because at some point, we're going to need our kids to help us out at some point, and so we have to treat them as if this is going to be a partnership that is lifelong, because the reality is it pretty much is. I mean, before this interview, my mom called and was like, hey, I dropped my car off. Can you come pick me up? And I'm like, sure, with 20 minutes left, right? And so there's this interdependence between us that doesn't go away just because she turns 18. And our daughters and moms, I would say we all need to come to an understanding of what that transition looks like and a healthy way to make it happen.
That's awesome. Do you feel that girls are under a greater pressure than what you and I grew up with?
Oh my goodness, yes. Because, when we had arguments at school, we could go home and it was over. It was over, at least until the next day. We were safe at home. And yeah, you found out that people, did a three-way call, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there was, but the pressures of social media have created an environment where they cannot escape. And I had a mindset years ago, like, so you're about to have a full-on stress breakdown over something you could finish by just turning off your phone.
Right.
And I had to realize that because turning off the phone doesn't help. When they address it, it gets worse. When they don't address it, it gets worse. Right. And so there's this responsibility of parents to create kids who are kind, who are respectful, not just to adults, but to their peers. And it's really hard to do that in a society where, you know, it's really about let's figure out who's wrong and just be anti the person. Let's
Right.
do cancel culture instead of trying to understand one another and really, use that to have greater understanding and a higher level of respect. It just, for whatever reason, right now, it's just really, social media has created a huge level of irresponsibility.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's escape, it's elopement. We don't
Yeah.
have to take responsibility. And what is different, do you feel, for our generation of us as parents versus our own parents when we were kids? I mean, do you think that it's harder today? Do you think they had it easier, or is it just different?
I think it's different. I stopped short of saying it's harder, but I do feel that there are things in place that make it harder, but there were things that weren't in place then that made it harder, right? It would have been great if we had social media back then that was used responsibly. It would be it would be great if we had it now and it was used responsibly. Um, Social media creates a level, and it can be beautiful. If a kid goes missing, we can use social media to find them, and we, you know what I mean? Like there's tools, but there's also this ability to spread falsehoods. There's this, and do it at an alarming rate. You can spread a rumor so fast on social media, right? And just not just, if we see a story of the Kardashians and we click share, we're spreading a rumor. We don't know those people. We don't know if it's true. And so it's not just the kids using it irresponsibly, it's all of us needing to take responsibility to use it. And if it's harder, I don't want to say it's harder, but it's certainly different.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
new challenges, you know what I mean? Like there was a time where, you could watch Lucy and Ricky and they didn't even sleep in the same bed. There was a level of modesty, right? But at the same time, a level that was so unrealistic. Like they're married, they can't sleep in the same bed. But our kids are overexposed now. So where at that time it was just an extreme level of modesty that did not show. I mean, I wouldn't want to be married and not be able to sleep in the bed with my husband. You know what I mean? We got twin beds and we make them up separately. Like that makes no sense. But I understand that at that time they were going, we just don't want to show it all. We don't need to show it all. And now we can drive down the freeways and see billboards for gentlemen's clubs. And it's like, well, we don't want to see that either. You know what I mean? And it's not just about, oh, well, you guys are ashamed. Bodies, I get that, a lot. You guys are ashamed. No, I believe that there's a level of modesty that should come at any time, right? I don't shame the way people dress, but I do think that there's an appropriate time. I mean, if I'm going to the beach, I think it's inappropriate to have on a business suit, right?
Yes.
Especially getting in the water, right? And so I think that there's so many variables that it's hard. It's difficult to say this time is harder or that time is harder. There's so many variables, and it really depends on your perspective and how you choose to address it.
I love it. What is one thing, if we had every teenage girl in America listening right now, what is one thing that you would really like to tattoo into their brain?
Wait, you said if we had every teenage girl listening,
Uh huh.
oh my goodness. I would want to I would want them to know how special they are. I would want them to know that their level of amazingness is not dependent on someone else agreeing with it. Like you are amazing just because you are. You are amazing just because you woke up. You are amazing. And it has nothing to do with your hair. It has nothing to do with your pimples. It has nothing to do with if your eyebrows are arched correctly, right? It has nothing to do with if you're wearing makeup or if you have on the latest trend. It has nothing to do with if you have boobs or not boobs. It has nothing to do with, if you have an apple bottom or a flat bottom. It has nothing to do with if you're skinny or fat. It has nothing to do with any of those things. You are amazing just because you are, just because God created you. That's the only thing in a world, and I believe in God. So in a world where God created the sun and the stars and the moon, he also chose to create you. That's amazing. And so I would want to impress on them just how special they are, whether they have autism or ADD or, any of the functions, that are labeled. You're still amazing. How amazing is it to communicate in a world where everyone creates differently? Everyone communicates differently.
Yeah.
That's an amazing ability, right? And so when a kid comes and your daughter is, when what she's saying, even when she's not saying. My nephew was here and he's 1.5 and he's just, blah 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 blah. And my daughter goes, "What did he say?" And I go, "I don't speak baby anymore." Like
Yeah.
I don't get it anymore, right? So you got to ask his mom. And so, but he's still amazing. Our kids are amazing just because they are. It has nothing to do with if your parents are rich or if they're, if they have lotion. Like it's just has nothing to do with it. They're amazing simply because they exist. And they can take that amazingness and go exist in their space and be the light like you only need one candle to light a room of darkness. That's it. And so I would just encourage them to just go be the light.
I love it. What do you think is something that mothers need to hear?
You're okay.
Yes.
You're okay. When your daughter is crying because you didn't buy her a shoe, you're okay. When your husband is frustrated because the dishes aren't done, it's not ready, you're okay. Um, and when you sit your family down and tell them you're on strike, you're okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think as moms, we lack the ability to hold our family accountable to the things that need to be done in the house. You shouldn't be doing the dishes and cooking the dinner and sweeping the floor and mopping and cleaning the bathrooms and picking up in the living room. Everyone in the household is responsible for the household. And we tend to go to work and come home and start our second jobs. And our kids go to school and they come home and they do homework and then they're done. And our husbands go to work and he comes home, he takes out the trash and he's done. But we're constantly going and we have to enlist those family members to give ourselves a break. And so if I had to give a message, it's you're okay and make them help you.
Nice. Yeah, I love it. What is your greatest success story in your life, whether it's something you've done or somebody you've helped?
My greatest success story is my daughter being a kind human being. She is so wonderful. And I'm not biased. Like she's just wonderful because she is. Um, and her teacher stopped me yesterday and was like, she's just really a good kid. And I'm like, thank you, right? But I reiterate to my daughter all the time, I want people to say more than you're cute. I want them to speak to your intelligence. I want them to speak to your heart. I want them to speak about your character and your integrity, right? And they can because she really does possess it all. And so she is, yeah, she's it.
That's
Sometimes I look at her and I'm just like, I did
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Gotta take props for that. So we're curious, what is something that you're into right now, whether it's a show or food or restaurant? What's on your radar right now?
Oh my goodness! Right now, what's on my radar is just my membership. To be honest, I'm launching a new membership program, and I did a soft and I learned some things on the soft launch. So now I'm revamping some things, and and it is just it's a joy, but it's a lot of work, and so I don't think that there is anything else that I'm absolutely like gun ho about.
That's amazing. And I think it's amazing that you do so much for so many other people. And
Yeah.
we're so blessed. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. So if I can, anyone listening, any mom listening, I encourage you to join Mothers Raising Teen Daughters. You can go to mothersraisingteenddaughters.com and join the group. We'll let you in. It could be a wait. Yesterday, I realized we had like a 2-week wait. It was like 800 people waiting to join. So I'm really sorry about that, but but I'll get you in. I promise. We'll get you in at some point, and just go in and understand that there are other moms going through the exact same thing you're going through. None of us are going through a unique situation. We're all, and maybe it's just that it feels unique because you don't have anyone to share it with. But when you go in the group, I guarantee you can just put in a keyword and you'll find someone who has posted about it and get some help.
That's amazing. And that's what I love about it is that there's no topic that's not discussed. Everything under the sun is discussed.
Unfortunately,
Right?
that it could be overwhelming, for me, because I read every single post.
Wow.
And so it could be overwhelming. I'm the only one who approves posts. So, but the good thing is that people are getting the assistance they need. And it's not just, a cries for help. Sometimes it's just taking a moment to celebrate your daughter,
Mhm.
celebrate yourself, celebrate your marriage. You
Right.
know, it doesn't have to be all, you know, doom and gloom, but um, sometimes you just need to know that someone else understands.
I agree. Well, if it's okay with you, we'll link up on our page, your website, so that people can join
Yes.
that exposure. We would love to have you guys join. And other than that, we just want to say thank you so much. And everybody remember that we rise by lifting each other's up. Thanks, Coach K.
Bye.